Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tonight we are starting the very beginning of a new series, and I don't know yet if I haven't checked to see if Heather has posted the class list on our Facebook page, but I have classes planned through Memorial Day. Now, of course, life always happens, and there ends up nearly always being something that needs to be rescheduled. But I pretty much have planned a series starting with Ancestry and FamilySearch, getting started in Ancestry and getting started in FamilySearch. And so I think that before we start that tonight, we need to talk about some general principles. And so there are some things that we always need to know about when we do family history. The first thing we do is we start with what we already know. Now, we're going to get that information of what we already know from our own memories, our own family records, and the memories and family records of people who also know more than we do. So, for example, if I were to talk to my father-in-law's oldest sister, she would probably remember more about the family than my husband does, because my husband was a little boy when many of these people lived, and she knew them. She was in her 90s, so she would have known people for longer. The very first Christmas that we were married, I took some blank family group sheets home when we went to Denver for Christmas, and my mother-in-law sat down with me, and I just started asking her questions. Tell me your dad's full name. Tell me your mom's full name. Where was your dad born? Where was your mom born? And I think that I got better information and more timely than if I would have sent her the blank forms. But she sat down with me, and anything she didn't know about her family, she called them on the phone right then and asked them. And we got a lot of very good information. And she was an eyewitness to many of these things. So although it's good and I would try to verify the information, it still gave me a remarkable beginning of her family's history. And she knew more about her side of the family, but she also knew a very lot about her husband's side of the family. So that is working that's starting at the very beginning, talking to people you know, looking up records that you already have or that they might have. And then you start at the beginning. You know, we're going to talk a lot this year about our 8 greats and finding them in the census, for example. And the 8 greats would be our great-grandparents, our 8 great-grandparents. But if we were someone who had never done family history before, we would not sit down on the first day and say, I want to research my great-grandparents. We would instead want to research ourselves and our parents and our grandparents and then our great-grandparents. And of course, about ourselves, we're going to know most of the information ourselves, but we should try to accumulate some of those documents that tell about our family. So for example, I would want a copy of my birth certificate. I would want a copy of my marriage certificate. I would want a record of each of my children's birth records. And in my case, one of the records that I would want is my legal name change, because when I married my husband, his name was Charles Clark. And after we'd been married 1.5 years, we changed our name to Hugo. And so I would want to have a record of that legal name change in my records. Now, as I begin to accumulate these documents, where am I going to put them? In the olden days, we would use a paper filing system that would have a manila folder probably with the information about each married couple and their children in one manila folder. And we would probably write that information on a family group sheet. And Vaughn, one of us needs to be muted. And so nowadays we tend instead to keep those records. My son's trying to get himself muted because he's sitting next to me with his computer.
Here we go.
Okay, he's got it done. And so nowadays we would tend to use folders on our computer to keep these records. Maybe some people would like to keep both copies. Some people would think it's too cumbersome to keep a paper copy when you can keep it on your computer. But if it's going to be on your computer, it needs to be backed up pretty often. And also then, I would think that in nearly every case, you would also put each copy in as a source on FamilySearch and or Ancestry. So working from the known to the unknown. We used to have all kinds of rules that we gave people that tried to do family history. We used to tell them, put the surname all in capital letters. Put the month in the middle of the date. So put the number of the date, then the month, and then the year. And nowadays, that is taken care of by most computer programs. But that's still a pretty good idea. And you can understand that if you stop and think about, was somebody born on the 11th of December or on the 12th of November? And so if you standardize it by always putting the month in the middle, then that clarifies that. But we don't need all the rules that we had to memorize years ago because computer programs have a lot of that stuff built into it. So we don't need to worry about that. Nowadays, we really can just about jump in. And so someone who has never done family history before could go to, let's say, to FamilySearch. And so I'm going to share my screen so that you can see my FamilySearch. Now let's see, I want to turn off my emails. And how do I turn off my emails, Vaughn? Okay, and I'm also going to turn off Zoom. Okay. So now I got sidetracked in the process of doing that and also hearing little voices behind me. I'm visiting my son who's right here beside me. And his 7 children. And they are all very curious about what Nana is doing on her lesson. So can you see Vivian and her waving? Okay.
Vivian.
That's Vivian. And so what was I saying? John is waving to you. John is a grandpa. Diane is a grandma. They're waving at you too, huh? So if we were going to start, and if we were a new convert or someone who had never done family history before, we would want to start on the computer because this is just computer age. But if we decided to do it on paper, we would keep the paper in an organized form. So here is FamilySearch. Now, FamilySearch has 2 parts. It has the part that is the family tree, and it has the part that we use to search the billions of records that the church has accumulated. And so here on this bar, and I didn't figure out ahead of time how to change my arrow to a darker arrow. So I hope you can see it. But so family tree and search are the main parts. These are other activities and things that we use, but the 2 main parts are the tree and FamilySearch. So that's where I would go to begin to make my pedigree chart, regardless of which style of pedigree chart I used. Here's the one I use most often. But the very first thing to do is to set up our account. So, and I really want, I guess everything shows here.
Do you want to make it full screen for now?
Yes, make it full screen for now.
So click on your big square,
This one?
one up. That one right there.
Okay. All right. So now I'm at a full screen. Now, when we first get an account, FamilySearch gives free accounts to everyone that wants one. And they trust everyone to be honest and careful with the information they put in. So when you first open it up, if you click over here on the side that's going to say log in, or if you're already logged in, it's going to have your name. You're going to set up an account. And if I click myself out and then do create an account, then this is how I do it. Just fill out the form. And so just your name and your birth date and your sex. Then you say whether or not you are a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. If you are, then LDS temple work and other LDS information is available to you. If you don't click there, then it is not. So you would just click there and continue. And then once you have done that, then from then on, when you click it, when you open it up, you'll choose login. And so you will then put in the username and password that you established in your setting it up. Now, in the olden days, meaning like 10 years ago, people got really hung up on passwords and usernames. But today we're pretty well used to that and don't have problems with figuring out a password.
Write them down.
What did you say, Charles?
Write them down.
Oh, my husband says, make sure you make a written record so that you can find it again. And as you log in, if you're logging in on your home computer, log in such a way that you stay signed in for 2 weeks. But don't use this at the Family History Center places where it's kind of a public option. And then you would click sign in. And these accounts are free. And when you open it up, this is the way it's going to look. Now, as new users, these are the, right here by my name, these are the icons that we're going to be the most interested in tonight. The question mark is our help section. And so anything that we have a question about, we are going to want to type into here, and it's going to pull out alphabetically a long list of things that we can choose. And that is a very quick way to access those. Also, if we go to the Help Center, instead of the alphabetical help, we are going to get frequently asked questions, topics, or just a plain search button. I helped someone this week who wanted to talk to somebody from church headquarters about how to handle excommunications from previous times. And so we clicked on this bar, and that's how we got the information that we needed so that she could do that contacting. Here is a list of messages that we receive. One of the messages that we receive is anytime we mark, and we'll talk about that later when we look at a person, anytime we mark that we are specifically interested in somebody, and we do that by turning the little star at the top of their profile page to black, and that's also called following them. Anytime we do that, then anytime somebody else changes information about that person, then we get an email telling us. Also, it will list our email so that people that are curious about something we put on or know something that we don't know and they want us to send a message, then that's the message button that they will use. So here's are also information that we got lately, and you see here changes to people you follow, and so that's important information to know. Now, one of the things that is also kind of very good to know, I think, is that what I did here is I scrolled to the bottom of the page, and when you scroll to the bottom of the page, here are some words down here in the bottom left-hand corner that can be very helpful. One of the things that if you decide you want to get serious about family history, you'd probably find it beneficial to come down here and choose the blog. And if you click on the blog, then it will give you the option of signing up to the blog that is written by FamilySearch workers of all the new things that are coming out in FamilySearch, or the changes they're making, or other interesting things about doing family history. And those are very valuable. It's kind of like a little bit of a lesson all along. So I recommend that you do that and choose on blog. Another thing that is really important, and tonight for our lesson particularly, is this section called Solutions Gallery. And if we click on Solutions Gallery, it will take us to a screen, and then we can scroll down on this screen. It's going to tell us a lot of things that we are going to want to know about. But one of the most important games, charts, but one of these things that is going to be really important for us tonight and in our research is Latter-day Saints Access. And what this is there are several companies that have paid subscription sites for keeping track of your family history and researching family history. And each of these that are listed have discovered that it is very profitable to them to work with FamilySearch. And so they have made free accounts available to members of the church. So tonight, as we talked about Ancestry, so I clicked on the More button, and that brought me over here to Ancestry. And that is where I would click to be able to open up an Ancestry account. Find my past, American ancestors, and then my heritage, and Jeanette, and then there's also a new one called Filet, but it's not listed here. Those are sites of companies that have offered free accounts to members of the church. And so those are very valuable to us. And we access that by going to the very bottom of the page down here where it says Solutions Gallery. And that is the page that shows up anytime you have FamilySearch open. It has this little section down at the very bottom of the page. So those are some things that we're going to want to do. But first, as we've made our account, we want to do some settings. And so here is the settings that we can do. And so the first are basic account settings. And so this is my mailing address. And then I click, so all of these things, I chose I went immediately to mailing address. So I check this. And I have my mailing address set at public. Now, if I didn't want everybody that looks up, that sees that I've contributed something to FamilySearch to notify me by mail or to drive to my house, then I would, instead of clicking public, I would click private. If I didn't want everybody to know my email address and know my phone number, then I would put private instead of public here. If I wanted to change my password, I would do it here. If I decided that because I was doing research on one particular ancestor, and so I wanted my family search to always open up on that ancestor, I could click on, I could put in that information, but I prefer to have myself first. And then most of the time when I'm doing family search, I'm just looking at the screen myself. But occasionally I will be showing some of my relatives that are not members of the church family search. And so I am going to want to unclick this button that says show temple information, because I don't want them to come to look at my screen and be upset at something that I haven't explained to them yet. So I'm going to leave that button clicked unless I'm dealing with non-members that don't understand temple work. So that was the account settings. Notification settings. This tells how do we want people to be able to contact us. And the biggest one here is if I have something that I put on a person's page on Family Search, I want other people that know more about that or have questions about what I think I know to be able to contact me. So I'm going to click that, yes, I want to receive emails. If I didn't want to receive emails, then I would click on that on the left-hand side of that little button, and then I wouldn't be able to get it. Because I do have this next one, discoveries about my ancestors, turned on. Every now and again, I get a letter that says, oh, your grandfather's birthday is this month. Or, oh, did you know that you have ancestors that were in the Relief Society in Nauvoo? Or something else that they have done, that Family Search has done to kind of keep me interested in my family search and to draw me in. And if I didn't want those, then I could click the off button. But I found some things out by those that I didn't know before, so I'm going to leave those on. If I want to be able to share temple ordinance information with my daughter, then I click this bottom one here on, so that she and I can share back and forth what temple work we want to take to the temple. So notifications is an important one to do, and permissions is an important one to do. And it's going to list here that others can see how I'm related to someone. And so that's just going to add interest to our research. So that's good to do. And I have made, here's some companies that, as I mentioned, that are partners with Family Search that I have joined. And in order to do those, I like to be able to do back and forth between those companies. And in order to be able to do that, I've given them access. And so if I didn't want to do that, then I could remove that access. But so those are some things that we don't usually think about caring about when we first start an account. And maybe we want to get right into Family Search, and that's good. But this is how we are going to make Family Search more usable to us. So that is how we personalize our Family Search. When we open up Family Search, oh, I didn't mention helper access number. Helper access number is the number assigned by the computers at Family Search that allow two different people to look at each other's information on Family Search. So for example, if I was trying to help my friend and I wanted to kind of get an idea before we got together to work on what I was helping them on, so that I could look at their Family Search ahead of time, then I would get their helper access number, and then I could log in and see their whole family tree. Now, something that's really important for us to know about FamilySearch is that this is a shared tree. And what this means is that anybody that is on our own personal family tree, anybody else can look up that person, and if they feel that they've got better information, they can change it. And that is the strength of FamilySearch. Now, the weakness of FamilySearch is that FamilySearch is a shared tree, which means that information that I put in can be changed by somebody else. And I might not like that to happen. I might like to know that what I put in there is what I see. So that is the weakness and the strength of FamilySearch. So this, when I clicked on this green FamilySearch word over on the left-hand side, I get a screen that looks like FamilySearch is going to look when I first open it up. Now, sometimes I might want to look at this sheet and see who has added new pictures lately that I haven't seen, which relatives have temple work that's not complete, or other information that I might want, and are hints that have been found about my family, and I can add those. I can look at them and act on them. Most of the time I don't. Most of the time I go straight to either family tree or search. So the search is how I would get to searching the records that the church has. This now includes, although they've not all been indexed, all of the records that have been microfilmed by the church since the late 1800s. So the billions of records that have been microfilmed by the church are available under this search button. The family tree button is how I find what my family tree looks like. So, and information about the people on my family tree. So if I click here on pedigree, I looked under tree, and then after tree, then my pedigree chart came up. And so here is, and I'm gonna do Control minus so I get more of it on the screen. Here is my pedigree chart. And I can go to the end of the row and click on an arrow, and I'm gonna get farther along and farther along. And my brothers get great light just following the arrows and seeing how far back we are related to people. So that's how you look at the landscape view in more detail. Also, you can look at it in a portrait view. And in order to have a portrait view, you are going to have, or somebody else in your family is going to have, put in memories and pictures of people. And it is really fun sometimes to look at people. That is not family history research as much as it is family history interest. And the fan chart is a fun way to show your pedigree chart, and it has lots of different options of doing it. This way is just the fan, and it shows me, my mom, and my dad, and back. Right now, mine is set on 5 generations. I could take it to 7 generations. Now, one thing that's interesting about taking it to 7 generations is you can see the holes are in my research. You can see that maybe these are the places that I'm going to want to search next. If you have your ancestry DNA checked, or your DNA checked, you are going to be able to find out where your family comes from based on your DNA. If you click instead on birthplace, you can check and see where your family comes from based on where they were born. So you can see I have an awfully lot of blue. That means that all of these people in my family tree were born in the United States. And I can also tell that this group right here came from Denmark. This little bit here came from Ireland and England. And here's my Scottish. You can tell I've really got a lot of Scottish relatives. So you can get very good ideas about where you're from with that information. Sources is going to tell you by the depth of the color, how much research has been done, and the sources listed with that person. Stories is going to tell you which people have a lot of information about stories about them on FamilySearch. Photos is the same. And now this is a really important one. This is research helps. Anytime FamilySearch logarithms and computer people have been able to find somebody in your family that they think is in a record, then they will attach a blue record hint. And then you can know that they've got information about that person that they think is your family. If it is purple, then they have research suggestions of some kind. And if it's red, it's a data problem. Maybe the data problem is that you don't have a county listed for somebody's birthplace. Then if you click on ordinances, you will see who has temple work that is ready to be done or else is currently in process. So you can see here, I have 2 people that have temple work that's not finished. Now that their children, very likely their children also have more temple work that's not done, but just the people on my tree, those are the 2 people that I have temple work that could be done on. So that is knowing about those things is going to make an awful lot of difference in how I look at my FamilySearch. Does anybody have any quick comments about any of these that they particularly like using, or other comments about what I've showed so far? I'm not hearing anybody. And John, do you have a yellow? Did you have something to comment about? No. Okay. I thought I maybe saw a line around here.
So I have printed out my fan chart, and that now I'm going down each person on my temple line that needs to be done, and cross-referencing all the ones that like if it's a ceiling to parent, then I go and make sure that their parents' work is done. And so this chart right here would be very valuable to me if 2 of the people showed up on it as having more information, and because I don't have a birth date, death date, marriage date, nothing for the parents. So I just have a name.
So that is your map that you use for keeping track of where you're at and what you can be now.
Yeah.
That's an excellent idea. If you want to print these, I think that the cheapest place to print them is at the BYU library, the genealogy section that's in the basement of their main library. You can get them done at Staples and other places, but they cost more, I think, than if you go to BYU to have them done. I opened mine up here so that it is marked, so that it's color coded, so that all of my mother's side of the family is got yellow, and all of my mother's father's side of the family is red.
Mhm.
A sheet like this, framed for a Christmas present, is beautiful, because it points, it's the map. This is all of our ancestors and how we're related to them. So that's a very good idea, Diane, to do that. I think
And
that
one of my grandmothers actually did a Daughters of the American Revolution chart. And so I'm also in the process of finding that and putting it on my chart so I can link generations back.
good. You might even consider joining Daughters of the American Revolution yourself.
I'm trying to get my sister's
Okay, you can
Numbers two.
probably get that from the Daughters of the American Revolution website, or else talking to them in Washington, DC. So now that is my introduction to FamilySearch. Now let's do our introduction to Ancestry. Now, you might notice that something that I have done is I have gone across, just a minute. Excuse me. I've gone across my toolbar on my Chrome, and I have put in, I went to the little arrow, the little star over. Oh, excuse me again. When you click on the star, when a site is open, it will put them on this bar going across. And then whenever you want to look up something quickly, you can just click on that and it opens that person up in a tab. And so that is really great to be able to do that. Now, Ancestry has three main parts of the Ancestry site. They have the site that is pedigree charts. They have the site that is searching the records that they have access to. And then they have the site in which they store information about people who have had their DNA tested. Now, because Ancestry is one of these companies that is a partner to the church, the FamilySearch, all of us that are members of the Church of Jesus Christ can get a free account at Ancestry. There are a few things that they're not going to give us free access to, but those aren't major. So you'll see that Ancestry is very similar to FamilySearch. Only about 10% of the records that are searchable, or the records that are stored by Ancestry, are also on FamilySearch. That means that 90% of what's available on Ancestry, people that use only FamilySearch never get to see. So it is almost essential for us to use Ancestry as well as FamilySearch. I have been slow to join that bandwagon. I have been more interested at first to be loyal to the church and what they've done on FamilySearch. But if I want to do serious research or serious keeping records, I need to do both. Now, the biggest strength of Ancestry is that on a tree, when you click your tree, you only see what you put in. And what you put in is what you put in. Nobody else can change it. Nobody else can add to it. It is not a community tree. It is not a shared tree. And since nobody else can change it, it is yours, and that is its strength. The weakness of Ancestry's tree is that if you want to see what somebody else put on or what somebody else knows that's an Ancestry user, it's going to take you hours. But you will be able to know that what you found is what the person that made that tree knew and cared about. So that is the strength of Ancestry and the weakness of Ancestry. Now, if I click on trees, I am going to see the different trees that I have made. Well, I clicked on it twice, so I got my pedigree chart. But I have made more than one tree on Ancestry. Now, if I was using FamilySearch, I could put all of the people about these different groups of people in the same tree in FamilySearch. But since they're on Ancestry, if I want to keep track of them, I either have to expand my tree to include them, or else I have to make a separate tree. So you can see that I have several different trees that I can access on FamilySearch. I mean, on Ancestry. I wouldn't need to do that on FamilySearch because FamilySearch is a shared tree. But so this is my sister's husband's family. So work that I have done on that family, I keep in a separate tree. And that means that if I find out something about his family and I put it in, nobody else can add to it. Nobody else can change it. It's just mine. Now, when I make a tree, if I'm on this tab and I go down to create and manage trees and click on it, I'm going to get another screen. And this other screen is going to be what I need to know to be able to work on that tree. And here it's going to give me options to create a new tree, to import part of a tree from FamilySearch, or to upload a GEDCOM. And we'll talk more about how to make your tree on Ancestry next week. That is how I get to these. And when I create this new tree, I'm given the option of saying whether or not I want it private or public. If I didn't want anybody else to know confidential stuff about me, I could make a tree and make it private. A lot of people do that when they get their DNA done. And so when you're looking at somebody else's DNA, you can't find out who their ancestors are, who their relatives are, because they kept that private. If you want other people to be able to see yours and contact you, then you make it public. So that is what you do when you are first making your tree. And when I do make my tree, I have mine set so that when I first open it up, my tree that I call Nancy for Ancestry is going to be the tree that shows up. And it is a pedigree, landscape pedigree chart, like we looked at on FamilySearch. And it is going to show me when I have pictures of somebody, or it's just going to have a blue boy picture or a sepia girl picture if I have not put in a picture on that person. Now, maybe somebody else put in a picture of all these people, but I can't see it on my tree because my tree is just mine and nobody else can do it. Now, if I import it to mine, then I could. But to start with, nobody else is going to be able to see my tree unless they search it, and I've made it public, but they're not going to be able to change anything on it. What I do there is going to be strictly my own. Now, I think that one of the best things that Ancestry has done lately is they have made a place here called Tree Search. And when I do Tree Search, I can type in anybody that is in my tree. So I could type in my grandmother, and it is going to give me her information, and then I can look at, it'll take me immediately to her page so that I don't have to say, oh, how am I related to my grandmother? I better go to me, and then after me, I better go to my mother, and then I better go to her mother. But instead, I can just do that alphabetical search, which makes it very helpful. And then I'm going to see her tree as it begins with her. But I really do like that tree search part.
All right, Nancy, can you
now yes.
Can you search other
yes, John.
On
only your own tree. The way that you search other trees is under the search button up here.
Okay.
But so this is just how you search your own tree. Because that is there and is available, especially if you had a private tree, you can more easily keep track of your own information inside Ancestry that maybe without that you would use an old path file or an ancestral quest file or a roots magic file.
Okay. Can I ask you another question?
Yes.
When you search on search for a name, how do you just get the guy's name, but can you access their tree to find out what relationships above and below that particular name might show on Ancestry?
Okay. maybe I only know part of that answer, but let's see. So I looked for Gladys Melvina Michael, and she's here. Okay.
Yeah,
So now I can see her profile. And her profile is about the same as somebody's page is on FamilySearch. So how do I see how I am related to that person?
no,
Here it says that person is my maternal grandmother. And let's click on these and see if it gave me other information about her. These, not much else about her.
no,
Now
okay.
on FamilySearch, if I were to do that on FamilySearch, and so to do it on FamilySearch, I'm going to click make a new tab and open up FamilySearch in the other tab. Or as Diane talked about a couple of weeks ago, we can do half on each side of the screen. Now I like the full screen better, but you can do that. So here, if I were to go to Family Tree and a tree, and I were to look up one of my ancestors, let's just choose this one. And so if I were to look up her,
Yeah, so you can see on her view tree.
I can see how I'm related to her and if somebody else is related to her.
Well,
I also, when I go to the tree part,
yeah, you can-
I can choose, and I didn't show you this before, I can choose descendancy. And if I choose descendancy, it is going to show me that Louisa Bethany Michael or somebody. It's if I had her opened up,
right.
it would show. So maybe we want to open her up. Well, this is going to show everybody that's descended from me, and it would show everybody that's descended from her. So that is how you can follow through that's who's descended from somebody.
Well,
So this was, I really need to go to somebody further back.
or else just search her tree and see if you can, because that's one of the tools I've been using lately a lot is finding somebody in FamilySearch and just looking up a name and then clicking on the tree, and I can see their whole tree.
Okay, so
whether
you're
I'm
clicking,
related
when
or
you see
not.
this little card, the little card, you
Right,
click
yeah.
tree. And then when you click tree, then, okay, so what do you do next? You can click the arrow going this way,
Click
and
get
it's
it.
going to show you their descendants.
No, just click up. Well, you can click on a name and then up in the upper right-hand corner, you get the same place it says for your relationship. Yeah, hit click there.
So we need, you're saying that we need to go clear to their
Yeah,
page.
and then view tree.
And now I can see their ancestors, but not their descendants.
Well, yeah, you can track it all the way forward or back if that's listed in there. And I can't see that you can do that on Ancestry, and I would really like to know how, because this is a great tool that I've been using, in my stuff in Mexico, because a lot of times if I can find a guy's name, then I can do the descendancy, just following the tree back, finding a little dot, like some of these you got here, James, and then his son Mark or Mac, and you can go backwards all the way back to you if you're related to him by that particular person.
Okay, so if I were to go to this great grandpa and view his tree,
Yeah.
and then once I have viewed his tree, I can do his descendancy, and it's going to show me who all of his descendants are.
Yeah.
And so, Diane, is there a way to do that in Ancestry?
Not that I know of. I mean, I don't even like the pedigree view that they have. It's kind of confusing on Ancestry, where they have that pops up with the pedigree thing. I don't know of a descendant view for Ancestry.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if there's one there, just because they put in everything they can think of. And if FamilySearch can do it, Ancestry is going to try to do it. But I don't know either, and obviously Diane knows more about Ancestry because
Yeah.
she uses it every single day.
Right, and she likes it a lot better, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Well, it's because of the easiness of following hints.
Right, yeah.
And the hints that it generates. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about on Ancestry is if you pull up somebody's page and if you got your Ancestry account as a free account through the church, through that partnership, then while I have this page open for this person, this little FamilySearch icon is going to show up. Now, if I click on that icon and make sure that my sign in at FamilySearch is recent, so it says it's not, so it says I've got to redo it again. Okay, so it just did it for me. So it has a little check mark. And if I then click, I get a drop-down menu and it's going to tell me these things where FamilySearch and Ancestry are working together. It's going to let me know which temple ordinances are done. It's going to let me compare this person with the person on FamilySearch that it lets me choose. Do I think this is the right person? It will click me straight to FamilySearch, or it will give me the option to add some of this person's relatives from FamilySearch. So in other words, FamilySearch and Ancestry are talking back and forth. And those are great opportunities that it gives me. View this person on FamilySearch.
Okay, yeah,
See, it's just going to immediately click onto that person's page on FamilySearch and let me look at it, which is a very, very easy way to go back and forth.
You just solved my problem of looking up somebody on there, and then if they're in FamilySearch, then I can search up and down their tree.
But it's only going to be your tree. It's not going to be everybody's trees.
Well,
now,
if you can get back to FamilySearch, then it'll be everybody's tree.
okay. Yes. Yes. So here is the section search records. If I click on Ancestry, it is going to say you're leaving FamilySearch, you're going to Ancestry, but it is going to give me the option to look at records from FamilySearch. Now, these are not my tree. They are all kinds of information about a Gladys Michael. And if I go through these, they very likely are going to be hints and records that Ancestry has that maybe I didn't already have. So that is a very valuable thing. So I think that all of us, as we're beginning, should plan on, and eventually I think most of us are going to want a Find My Past account if we have members of the church, members of our family from the British Isles. We're going to want My Heritage, and My Heritage is really trying hard to expand beyond Europe. So maybe I will find myself using more My Heritage sources as time goes on. But at least Ancestry and FamilySearch should be used together. When we use them together, we're just going to find that we can all do more. So I hope that this has given you some overview about how they can work together and about why in the beginning you're going to want to go ahead and set up 2 accounts. Now, anybody else have any comments?
Yeah.
Yes, John.
Just let me further tell you about that tool in FamilySearch. Why I'm so excited about it is all the work that I've been doing, but one time I went and typed a historical figure and I got the name through FamilySearch of the first Rocha that was ever came to Mexico. And I put this guy's name in the search pattern in FamilySearch, and it pulled up his name. And then I pushed my relationship button, and it traced him all the way down 25 generations to my wife. And that gave me an unbelievable number of people who, that's basically doing descendancy work for that particular line, the easy way. So that was really exciting for me to use that as a tool. And I've always wondered how I could use it, and you just solved the problem by the little icon. But that's how I use that as a tool in FamilySearch, by using the family tree and how the family trees are hooked in.
Good. I think I would have to practice some before it means as much to me as it just meant to you.
Right.
Because I learned when I have to implement things sometimes and practice with them before I finish learning them. So that's good information. Now, next week, we're going to talk more about building our tree on Ancestry. And next week, Diana's going to teach the lesson because I am going to be in the air flying home from my son's house. So I won't be able to teach the lesson next week. Diane's going to teach it. And so I'm finished tonight unless you have questions. Now, I haven't really, I've mostly just have been talking and talking and talking. So does anybody else have any comments that they want to make or anything else they thought of during this? Yes, Diane.
You made a comment of the British Isles website. What's the name of that?
Find My Past.
Find My Past. Okay.
Yes. Now, I don't have any relatives from England for a really long time. But one of the messages that I got once from FamilySearch was had been found in a record in England and that I could access it through Find My Past. So those records are valuable. And so even though I don't research it all the time, am I glad I've got a membership? Yes.
Sometimes be careful because sometimes those hints will take you to Find My Past when they're actually on Ancestry and easier to find. Find My Past can sometimes be a little bit difficult to navigate.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of times with FamilySearch, it will tell me, okay, you have to click on this to get to the actual census. And so it takes me to Find My Past, but it's a little bit more tricky to navigate Find My Past than it is Ancestry. So if they're telling you that there is a census or a record there, I would go to Ancestry first.
Okay.
I have a relative that came from England and ended up in Illinois, and he was the only member of our family on my mom's side who turned like 101 before he died.
Wow.
Oh, Diane.
Well, the thing about England, if you do get into English research, their censuses are awesome because they give you their place of birth, and their birth records go back to 1837, and they have it's called the GRO, the General Register Office. It's online for free, where you can actually do a search and you can order a birth record for only £7 and it'll come through your email.
Wow.
Diane, would you check your email, your chat? I sent you a chat
You sent us a chat?
just to Diane.
Oh, just to
sent to me?
Diane. Okay.
Oh, what was it? You said,
yeah.
did she say Ancestry has 9 times more records than FamilySearch? Did you say that, Nancy?
Yeah,
I said that 10% of their records are shared. Now, that's from my brain. I cannot give you a quote, but that's what my brain said. I've often thought, oh, when I hear these amazing numbers of indexed records or records available, I always think I need to write it down, but I usually hear it when I don't have my piece of paper and my pencil.
Well, by the
Andy?
time you write it down, it'll change.
And
So
that's the truth. It will change, but I do think that it's 10%
I
of the
think now that-
information that
now that you're
that
getting this-
Ancestry has.
this new technology that they're doing too with the indexing, I think is going to really start populating things. We're going to have some exciting results with that.
Well, I just, as I mentioned yesterday at our indexing class, I just am enthralled with indexing. When I consider the difference between when I started looking in census records and doing research in 1967. And I remember what a big process it was to order a microfilm and have it arrive at the library, and then to read page by page the microfilmed record, going through all the hundreds of pages of census records. And nowadays I just look it up. And I have the one ancestor who I could not find the father's name. But I knew that she had a half sister still living in 1941. And with that clue, and I didn't work on it every day, but I worked on it every few months. And it took me 2 years to finally break through and figure out who her father was. Nowadays, you could find that, thanks to indexing, between Ancestry and FamilySearch, you could find it out in half an hour. Just such marvelous strides forward. Indexing has changed the routines that we are going to follow, that we follow as we try to build our family trees. It's just altogether different now than it was in 1967. Nina, would you say our closing prayer tonight? Can you hear me, Nina?